Well, hello everybody, it's Sharon Hankins here from the blog I Restore Stuff, ready to share with you another DIY with Essential Stencils. And guys, check out my little sign here that I've got. You might notice that I've got a bit of a different backdrop today. It's an old piano that we actually took the keys out of, and we have an electric piano here underneath. So that was a little bit of a old piano hack that we did there. Anyway, just while we're waiting here, let me know where you're tuning in from today. Yes, I was just mentioning my different background that I've got here today, trying to avoid that sun that keeps shining in my eyes everywhere I turn in this workshop. So if you've just joined us, if you're on the replay, please type in the word replay here, because Essential Stencil will be giving prizes away, or a prize away for a replay person within 24 hours of the live. I am just trying to find our live here, right here in Essential Stencils, so that I can see comments down here because I'm not seeing them on my phone. So bear with me while I try and find your lovely, beautiful comments about how the weather is in your city or whatever. If you notice my accent, I am from Australia. So it is, I'm down under, and it's a beautiful sunny day. It's actually winter, but I have my short sleeves on today, so go figure. Sometimes winter in Queensland is a little bit like, I guess you could compare it to Florida, so weather. So it's fairly mild, our winters. Anyhow, today's Essential Stencil project, I wanted to share with you a couple of things. Some of the mini tags that you can use. Now you could pick any of the mini tags, and I've got links for those up in the description of the live. But the other stencil I want to work on today is this gorgeous set, and it's a 2-pack. It's called And So Together. And so together they built a life they loved. And the second part of the set is This Is Everything I've Ever Wanted. I'm going to be doing that on just an ordinary board. Now this is an offcut. It's actually a gift from a friend. I'm going to talk more about my friend Sue. Sue, if you're watching today. Sue brought around a piece of furniture and a whole bunch of wood that was just chopped up from old, I don't know what even it was, probably another old entertainment unit or piece of furniture or something, because I can see a little bit of glue on the background. So I love to recycle just boards or pieces of wood from old furniture, or even they could be from walls. This is quite light, so I don't think it's pine. Maybe it is. But yeah, so it's kind of a bit varnished on this side. So I'm going to use that recycling wood to create my sign with today. The other thing that my friend Sue dropped in and gave to me, now she has been creating and making paper. Does anyone do paper making? Hang on a second, I just have to see my comments here. Hello, everybody's saying hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here on the live. Oops, it's taking a little bit to refresh. My friend Sue creates paper. So look at these. This is just gorgeous, like a linen color paper. It's so thin and beautiful. She's done an amazing job, but I love the raw paper to show those little flecks in it of raw materials. Hang on a second, looks like I have to start this again over here on the side. Facebook's being a little bit dodgy. There we go. And Kip says, I look at every ugly piece of furniture differently since I've started stenciling. Exactly, so you can do so much with that. Hi Diane, thank you so much for joining. Brenda, Holly, Tony, Susan, Diana, hi Tina and Sonia. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I was telling you about my friend Sue's paper making. So these are going to be just gorgeous. I just feel like they're just so raw and natural. Look at the little flecks of whatever in that. She said that this one was interwoven with lemon myrtle. Can you believe that? And I just had to try and smell it, but I can't smell the lemon myrtle, but it's actually got lemon myrtle in it. So look at those little flecks and natural fibers. I love that. So those would be great to stencil on, frame, make a sign with. Then she also has created paper using an old torn up book. Now let me show you really closely. You can't see, but this is in fact the book Sleeping Beauty, a very, very old one. And you can't read that it's Sleeping Beauty because it's all torn up pages mushed together and pressed in those little paper making things. And she's created these gorgeous pages from a book that are now pages for a new book, like a journal or write your own story. But I'm going to use those. They're perfect size for some stencil little mini tags. So I've got a link there for some mini tags in the comments, in the description of the live. So let me see if I can point you down here towards the project today. And whoops, seems like comments have stopped scrolling. We'll see what we can see. All right, so down here I'm working on this plain board that I will show you. Created just out of an old piece of furniture and chopped up, and this piece just looked really rustic. So I'm going to use that today, and I'm going to keep that varnish there. So what I did was to prepare the surface, and it's got a few little chips and dings, but that's all part of the character. I love it. And I've just left those little chips and dings in there. Now I want to use both of these signs today and kind of mix them up a bit. This set is, once again, and we've got the link there in the comments, in the description of the live. And use my code, I Restore Stuff, to get 10% off. So there's the beautiful sign there. And together they built a life they love. Now, one thought I did have for this particular wording and this sign is, wouldn't it be great if you had built your own home and you had, or a family home that had old timber that you could put together and create a sign, just because it's talking about building a life and just, those building materials and things. I just thought that sounded cute. So I'm going to use just a white colour paint to stencil on that today, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this part of the stencil sign. In every pack you get a gorgeous little brochure that teaches you all these tips and tricks that we have been sharing with you on stenciling. So keep that handy, because that will give you some tips in there. I'm going to be using the wreath part on the top and the bottom because I have extra room on this space. So that's what you can do. All right, so let me see, make sure I've got that in the center here. The Essential Stencil brushes, brush sets are available. The link for those is also there in the description of the live. Now I'm going to be using just a chalk paint today. I'm shaking that up really well. For some reason I'm not seeing the extra comments, so let me see. Nope. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what the comments are doing. I might have to just kind of refresh this again. There we go, we're back, maybe. All right, so I'm just going to pop this paint on a little tray beside me to work with. And remember that stenciling is as easy as 1, 2, 3. If you use a dry brush, that is. So I love to use a bit of paper, newspaper, to just offload the paint on the paper. You can use painter's tape to hold your stencil down in place. I've put it around about the center of my board. Remember that Essential stencils can all be changed around. Like, imagine the word loved. You can use that with a different set. You can change the words around and use other words from other sets. It's a lot of fun. All right, so I've dried my brush off, removed a bit of the paint there, and we're just going to go over with a nice, soft, gentle swirling motion. I'm using a chalk paint. So if you're wondering what kind of paint that is, just making sure I can see. Yes, Maggie says, painter's tape is my best friend. Well, it does help a lot to hold your piece in place. although I'm working on a flat surface, and usually I have my hand here anyway holding things steady, but better to be safe than have it move around while you're doing your stenciling. So let me know, have you seen some of the fall stencils that are available, the fall sets that are available on Essential Stencil site? Because I've got a link for that up too in the description. And I believe that if you've got pre-orders in for those, they start shipping on Friday. So get in and order your fall stencils. Some gorgeous ones there. There's Halloween theme. There's, what else did I see? Apple carts, apple trucks. All sorts of fun things there for the fall stencils. Let me know if you've got some pre-ordered. See these little letters here? I love the way they kind of have that skinny font that seems a bit like Ray Dunn kind of font, like that in decor. Now you could change up your colours and letterings here, so let's talk a little bit. Kip says, did you clean the board before you started? Yes, I did. In fact, I just gave it a scuff sanding because it does have a varnish on the board. I don't want my letters to slip around and slide around, so I gave it a bit of a scuff sand as if I was going to paint the board, because I'm a furniture painter. And so when I'm painting, I always scuff sand if it's got a varnish on the surface before I use chalk paint, just to give a bit of tooth for the paint to grip onto, and just removes any, grease and grime. You can always clean it with some TSP or a similar solution, like we have in Australia something similar to TSP that's called sugar soap. And you clean your surface because you don't want any grease and grime, because your paint's only going to stick to the grease and grime, and then you risk the paint chipping in the future. So we always make sure. So I've sanded it, cleaned it, wiped it back, and now it's good to go. Offloading my brush, and this is just the little 3/4 inch stencil brush. Now I'm just going along in those ways, but you'll notice that I do mostly do a bit of swirling in my stenciling. Just a little bit of pouncing here and there, because these are really wide areas, so they either could afford a bigger brush, or I could just, there we go, little swirling action. But because there's skinny lines right here, I'll just do a little back and forth motion. And again, on the wider lines, I'll do a bit of swirling. Thank you, Dana, for sprinkling and letting others know about our live video by pressing that button and jumping right back in here to the live. That's awesome. Maggie's asking what set I'm using. The set is actually called, grab it down here. The set is called And Sew Together, and it's a 2-part set. It comes with this sign and the other one that I'm going to show you in a minute, because now this has a little hole in the wood. It's just like one of those rustic features. Pat says it's hot and steamy in Iowa, and the kids have been dismissed from school early all week, having to wear masks. Yeah. That would get hot too if it's hot summer and you're wearing the masks, because I do understand we've worn masks a few times here going out, and it does get a little hot and steamy back there behind your mask when you're breathing in your own breath. I get it. Yes, Julie's excited for the fall stencils. Yeah, get your orders in. I think they're shipping on Friday, I believe. All right, so I've done that much, and I'm going to remove my tape. Making sure you can see that there. So now we've got some nice crisp lines there. I could go over for a second coat if I wanted to, if I thought that was a little bit, not covered enough. But because this is a really rustic sign, I'm happy with that coverage. We've got a little bit less in this area. It's sort of a little bit uneven, but I do like it. And see how the white really pops against that dark wood. So if I was to go a darker colour, it would sort of blend in a little bit too much and wouldn't give the full effect. So let me just quickly wipe off my stencil, because everyone asks. Oh look, Dana's saying, how's everyone doing tonight? She's asking you guys, so tell Dana how you're doing. Tell me too. It's morning here in Australia, and we've got all things happening today. Husband's working from home, I've got a daughter home from school because she's unwell, and we've got the mower guy out there mowing grass. So if you hear lots of noises, that's what's going on. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but I've just got a wet cloth and I'm just rubbing it gently over the stencil to remove the chalk paint that I've just put on the stencil. This is white, so you can't tell as much, but you can see it come through there. So we've got to wipe the bottom, rub the back over. And it's good to clean your stencils off, but be super careful and gentle. So I'm just rubbing gently first, because those little bridges can sometimes be a little bit fragile. And so we don't want those to get ruined. Thank you. Essential Stencils put those stencils, the link for that, right there in the comments. So you'll be able to see that, click on it, and you'll get 10% off too if you use my code IRestoreStuff at the checkout. And if you use any of the links, it will automatically add my code and give you the 10% off. So any of the links here on my lives or any of my other lives, just click on those links. Always use a code, guys, and you'll save yourself. All right, so that's going to dry off now before I can put it away back in its plastic. I'll return to my board now, and we'll get ready to do the second part. Now, instead of using this actual sign, now this is the second sign that comes in the pack. It says, "This is everything I've ever wanted," and it's got this gorgeous laurel, I guess you would call that, on the top and bottom. So what I'm going to do is use it on the top and bottom of this sign right here. So we're just going to line that up here so I can see the top, and then we'll place it down the bottom for that section there, just making sure we can all see. Oops, now I can't see the other comments. I'm just have to click on that in a second. There we go. Oh yes, Rhonda's mentioned, hope everyone's doing fine, and everyone in the hurricane path be safe. Absolutely. Praying for you guys in the path of that hurricane. I heard there was two. Is that correct, or is there just one? At one stage there was two, and merging together possibilities and all sorts of craziness. So praying that you all keep safe. Phyllis says she's used this stencil to make gifts for two newlywed couples. Absolutely beautiful idea. And I think that was probably partly the intention of this stencil design. It's just so gorgeous for newlyweds. Imagine a little beautiful sign in their homes. You could even use this, and there's a letter set, a couple of different letter sets that you can use. Just have a little search for letters on Essential Stencils search bar. Use my code again, and look for letters, and you can actually create your own lettering inside the wreaths and inside these laurels. You can create some fun ideas using those. Really personalising your stencil sets and personalising your gift signs. Now I wanted to mention too, guys, if any of you are sign makers, creatives, furniture painters, I am opening up my VIP club for a new intake in the first couple of weeks of September, and I've put the link up there in the description for how you can join in and to find out more about it. But basically I am taking you from the status of creative hobbyist right through to business owner, and I really help with a lot of social media things, how to go live on your Facebook page with confidence. We actually had in the middle of a fun week in my VIP group this week where we're practicing Facebook Lives, and so people are just volunteering. It's not an essential thing, but people are volunteering to go live in the group this week and just practice. Some of them have not done a Facebook Live for their own pages ever, and so I'm just walking them through that, coaching them through that. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm so excited for all the progress that they're making. It's a lot of fun. So that is something to look forward to if you are a business or a small business or a hobbyist, and you want to grow into, just making signs or painting furniture full-time or even part-time on the side, just how to grow your social media following and that kind of thing. So come and join me in my VIP group. You can find it on my blog, IRestoreStuff, under the workshop tab, or you'll see Sharon's VIP club, and you'll find all the info there. And you can jump on the waiting list. I would love to see you in the group. All right, can you see that? I don't think I've got it in the right space. I'll have to move it up a little bit. I'm doing the base of this laurel down here. Oops. Just checking your comments. There we go. And this sign was super quick and easy to do, wasn't it? And remember, if you've just joined me, stay tuned, because Essential Stencil will be giving away prizes at the end of our live. I've just got to be really careful I don't touch that letter down the bottom there. And also, if you have just joined, I just will let you know that I am using just a chunk of wood that came off an old dresser or something. My friend brought around some furniture that they weren't needing anymore, and also gave me a couple of bits of wood. So these always, she knows that I do these lives for Essential Stencil, and that I'm always looking for signs that I can put in my shop for sale. So yeah, there we go. So that's chalk paint. Just pop that in the middle. Now we'll have to just clean those off, but look at that, there we go, our cute sign. And so together they lived a life they loved. So I hope you can sort of see that. There we go. I'll hold it up in a bit so you can see. And the next thing I'm going to do is show you some paper. I was showing people at the beginning how my friend who brought around all this wood and furniture makes her own paper. Has anyone tried that? Making your own paper. So she must have like a paper press or something. I'll have to go and watch how she does it. But it's the most gorgeous linen paper. I'll show you in a second. Just cleaning off our stencils. You can also just lay your cloth flat on there so that when I get to it later, the paint's a little bit softer and easier to remove. I think I've got most of that off there. All right, laying that down, ready to wipe off again. Let me just hold this up before I start on my paper so you can kind of see that back a little bit further. There we go. So look at that. Whoop. And so together they lived a life they loved. So I just have to pop a hook on the back of it. Now what I could do is seal that if I wanted to with a little bit of varnish, wipe on poly, kind of polyurethane. You could even distress this a little bit with the chalk to make it even more, which by distressing I just mean get a really fine grit sandpaper, like a 400 grit, and just give it a light rubbing over so that some of those letters wear back even more to give it a little bit more of a rustic, old, aged feel. So that's one sign. All right, now moving on to this gorgeous paper that my friend has made. Let me just pop this back here and see if I can, if you notice my different background here, I mentioned that earlier in the live. I've got a piano behind me. Now that piano, I'm gonna paint it one day soon, so stay tuned on my Facebook page. Here's my page, I Restore Stuff, where you can follow my furniture painting escapades. And I'm going to paint that piano one day behind me. So let's have a look at this paper. So I was showing you some of the gorgeous papers she has created, making sure my desk is nice and dry here. So she's made these ones. So there's the larger ones here, but see the gorgeous natural fibres in there. This one I mentioned before, she made from the actual pages of the book Sleeping Beauty, mushed them all up, tore them all up, as you do when you're making paper, and created journal pages, or whatever you would like to call them. Isn't that cute? And so I'm going to have a look at using some of these today. And I've got my paint on my brush here. I think I'm finished with white for the moment, but just in case, I'm going to wrap that in a wet cloth so that it won't go, that it won't dry on the bristles. Okay, putting you down, here we go, down to my project today. So here are my pieces of paper. And here are some of the lovely Mini tags, that I do have mini tags in the description of the live there. Now there's a number set, so you could even go crazy with these numbers. Now they come with a little number and the 1 on each of them. So it's got 1 through to 0, so you can create any number at all. So there's those, which you could make little gift tags, you know, put a little tag on them, or even frame them in gorgeous little frames, because I just love that torn edges of the paper. So there's also these. So we thought we'd do a couple of lemons today, and I do love the honeybee set. So this one's called Lemon Tags. In the lemon tag set, we've got Sweet Lemon Farm, we've got Bee Zesty, and they all come in sets of 3. Fresh 5-cent lemons. So let's pick the lemons for that one, and maybe the Bee Zesty, because I think that would create a lovely gift tag for somebody. Bee Zesty, you can punch a hole in the top. You could even cut the corners like the stencil on your pieces of paper. So imagine any cardstock you can do this with. You could even use the actual black cardstock that comes in the Essential Stencil packaging, and just use this as a tracer. Trace that, cut it out, punch a hole, and you've got your own little gift tag. So I will use the Bee Zesty, and I did get a lemon colour that I could use with that. And this one is the bee tags, which have the cutest little honeybee tags in it. So honey, I love that one. We might use that. And there's this is great for backgrounds too. So you could even have this as a background on your tag and then put a person's name on it. You could use the little number tags or letter tags to create initials. Then there's the Be Happy. I like that one too. I think we'll use that one today. So we've got a couple of mini tag sets. So great for all sorts of things. I've even used these to decorate crates. So I've put the 5-cent lemons on the side of a crate and had that. So this one, obviously, we're going to turn and use it that way. And I'm going to be careful not to put paint on the dots, because we don't want that showing. These are all going to go sideways, actually, except for this Be Happy one. That sort of lends to more going upright. Not sure if I want it. I think I'll put it in the center and not use it as a tag. So just popping some dark, this is like a dark navy. It almost looks black, but it's another chalk paint for some of those bits. And I did bring a bright yellow. This is a fusion little star yellow that I can use on here. Drop a bit of dark blue. So because it's a white paper, or a whitish colour, I wanted to use a dark colour to make it stand out. So you make sure you use a contrasting colour. Those. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and let me know. Oh, Laurie's got the Christmas tags and the St. Patrick's Day tags. Yes, and it's a great idea to start doing some work towards Christmas, because you know that Christmas is going to be here before we know it, right? Okay, so I've got my offloading paper here, dipping a little bit of that navy blue in, and I'll have my yellow here ready, because I think I'll do a little bit of yellow, if I can, on, say, the lemon, but maybe I'll just go over this with the dark blue first. So I'm just holding these down because I don't want to tape on the paper, because I don't want to risk tearing the paper. Now, what I could have done though is there's a little bit of a close edge right there. So I'm going to put that right there just so that I don't go over the edge. Holding it down still again. When you go and put a cardboard here, you can afford to go over the edge and it doesn't matter, but be careful not to go over those edges and get your blue paint on the nice white card that you want to keep white. So this one says Be Zesty, just like a lemon. Okay, notice I'm doing a little bit of a pat and a swirl, kind of smushing and swirling at the same time. And I'm going to have to put this on this side also. So I'm just tucking it under there, or you can put it on top. You don't have to tuck it. And I do need a little touch more blue. I'm going to let go, being very careful to make sure it's sitting right in the right place. Just finishing off the words. And yeah, don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to give out prizes at the end. So I'm going to leave that and create yellow right there. So I'm just going to pop my blue in a wet cloth, and I'm going to dip in the yellow. So both the bees and the lemon kind of lean towards those yellow colours, right? So hopefully this will stand out a little bit against the white. The other thing you could do is continue with the blue over here and use it as a background to kind of let the yellow pop, or even shadow it, that kind of thing. Let's see if our yellow stands out. Our Bee Zesty. Got a little bit of blue on the corner of that lemon, but not to worry. Okay, so lifting that up there. There we go, our cute Bee Zesty sign. You can see the lemon, it's a, whoops, over here. It's a little bit light, so maybe what I would do is use that blue as a background. Let's try it on the next one and see what happens. So, say my honeybee, for example. Move that across. And I'm going to put a wet cloth on that stencil so that I can wipe it off later. And with the bee, I'm going to use the blue as a bit of a background. So here's the blue. Carolyn's asking if I can turn the volume up some. I don't know. Not sure if I can. I'll try and talk a bit louder. Is that better? Yes, the mini tags are very cute, gorgeous. Oh, someone's made mulberry paper. That sounds interesting. That's awesome. It is a pretty yellow. All right, so I'm just going to do the whole thing blue. So I've put the bee in the center. Again, you could use this as a gift tag. If you were using it as a gift tag, I'd move it down here so that you've got room to do a hole and a ribbon at the top. But I think this would look also cute in a small frame or mounted on a piece of wood, something like that. So that's the look I'm going for. Now I'm just going to keep my little board here handy so that I can tuck that under if I need to on these edges. Once again, tapping and smooshing to get that really sharp. We don't want bleeding underneath the stencils, which is why I use hardly any paint on the brush. That's the key. Hardly any paint. So I've done the happy, and I am going to go over in blue and then do yellow on top, and we'll see the difference it makes. So on that lemon one, I didn't do any blue underneath. So on the bee, we're going to try this. Now what I could do is leave some of those bumblebee stripes in that dark colour. And I know bees aren't blue, they're more black. But I've just got blue right now, so that's what I'll use. Yeah, I can offset some, so I'll try that for you, Connie. She means like creating that shadowing effect. So I've done that a few times, so I'll do that on one of these in a minute, and we'll create that shadowy kind of effect so that you can see the stencil design really pop. Rubbing off all of the paint. I'm going to go over this side first and then move my board. To this side, and just so I don't get anything on the edges over here, so I'll just pop it there. Okay, there's the bee just by itself. Okay, so now we're going to go over the bee in part of it at least, with the yellow, and see that idea pop. So I won't worry about kind of rubbing it off, because I'm not even too concerned if the yellow kind of blends with the blue. I'm not too concerned about that. Here's my yellow over here. Whoops. My brush was sitting over here and getting a little bit too dry, but hopefully it'll still work. I'm going to rub off that extra paint. Oh, I got a lot of paint on the brush that time. And let's see, we'll try and do just certain areas. Actually, I like that effect. Just a little bit of a motley bee. Now remember, I haven't drop shadowed this, I haven't moved it, I've just put it exactly over the same spot, but I think it should create a little bit of an effect where you can kind of see it's a bit, and I've left a couple of it'll stand out a little bit more. Let's see if it does. All right, there we go. Kind of, I've got a little bit of a bee, the yellowish bit showing. It's not as yellow though on the camera. It looks a bit yellow, more yellow in real life, compared to the bright yellow of the lemon. So you can kind of see a little bit of a difference. Maybe I'll go over that again. Let's see, because it's not really as visible on the camera. Just going over that yellow again. Maybe a bit more. Pop it down here so you can see a bit better. A little bit brighter, I think. Some kind of an effect. We'll call it the bumblebee effect. All right, that's a little bit better. It's kind of popped out that yellow a bit more. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. So gorgeous on natural handmade paper. And once again, I'm going to put that on a cloth that's wet so that the paint doesn't have time to dry on the stencil. I think while I've got the yellow right here, we'll go with this honey and do a little bit of a bee in the middle. We might make this one a gift tag and lean it more towards that side there. It's going to be tricky. Need a board here and a board on this side so that I can not get all the rest of it, the honey pot and so on. Okay. That's looking cute. And now we could do some yellow on that. See how if I went over the edge, it would have gotten on the paper. See that yellow there? You can sort of see where I've gone onto the edge. That's why we put that there, just so that it doesn't. Okay. Take my blue one. So I've got my blue paint here. It's a navy blue, so it's very, very dark. Yeah, I think it's much brighter too. It is. Judy said it's very elegant on that paper. I think so too. All right, so I'm going to now cover up my bee and do my blue on these letters and try not to fill in that hole where the dot is. A little bit more on the brush and brushing it off, offloading the paint. These are very cute. They are very cute gift ideas, gift tag ideas. So what I might do for this one is create that shadowing effect that we were talking about earlier that I've shown on some of the lives. So if you go into the Essential Stencil Facebook page and click on the video tab, you'll see a bunch of playlists there from all the different ambassadors and the different lives that we do. There's even some that are themed, like, you know, you'll see some Christmas lives or Thanksgiving lives that we've done over the years. So it's a good way to find older videos that you can learn different techniques on, and so one of those is I've shown some shadowing techniques like I'm going to show now. And yeah, Ollie says it kind of looks like an old scroll, this paper. Yep, lovely with antiqued edges, wouldn't it? And you could do that with just a little bit of antiquing, or just a little bit of brown or tea, brown paint watered down, or tea bags, that effect. Has anyone tried that? Or coffee diluted. And just tap a little bit around the edges there and get that antiquing effect. Okay. Like it's just not going on that one edge. Let me see, you can tap it down in there. Oh, it's our mower guys making a lot of noise out there, being a busy bee. Okay, here's the honey sign with just the little bee on the top, and it's a little bit hard to see with the bright light, but I can see it nicely there. So then I'm going to try this shadowing technique. So when we do shadowing, we want to move it slightly to one side and slightly up or down. So because it's mainly pushed over this side, so I could do the gift tag, I'm going to push it slightly this way and slightly down. So my shadowing effect is actually going to be on top instead of, usually I put it underneath. But it's just the way this is kind of going. So I'm going to put it slightly to the left and slightly down, and I'm going to go over with the yellow. So popping my blue on the wet cloth and going over with the yellow. Offloading. Oh, someone else has done made paper as well. Okay, so I am going to put cover over this dot because I feel like I'm going to on that, and I want to do the bee. Maybe I should do the bee the blue colour shadow. We'll just leave it, we'll see. All right, so I'm going over that with the yellow. So what we're going to be left with is a blue shadow for the yellow. So hopefully this will stand out on the white paper. And it's all a bit experimental, guys. You know, you could practice this if you didn't want to ruin your special paper that you've had handmade and took forever to make. Then you could practice on a piece of card or a piece of paper till you are happy with the colours that you're using to go with your background that you're using it on. So try it on black card or white card stock to get the effect that you want. So I'm going to move this over to here so I don't get it on that side. Alrighty. These are all great activities that you can get the kids to help you with too, I'm sure, if they're home from school and isolation or whatever. Now, I think I will just do that, do the opposite shadowing for that bee right there with the blue that I had going. And maybe that'll make the bee stand out a little more like the other one we just did. All right. Just takes a little bit of swirling, round and round. Now these are called the mini tags, and Essential Stencil has a wide range of mini tags, so any of those are such great gift ideas if you've got birthdays and things coming up, seasonal gifts, getting ready for Christmas time. They're great to make little cards, extra cards if you have a little sign making business or a shop or an antique booth. Great idea to add a little bit of few gift tags, you know, to your booth to sell. All right, so whoops, that's stuck. See how that turned out. So that's our shadowing effect. Now see that, doesn't it make it really pop? So I've put a drop shadow underneath the honey with the blue, dark blue. So now I've got room over here for a hole punch, and I could even, you know, clip the sides off. So let me just give you an idea what my friend who created the paper, she told me, when you're cutting the edges or cutting around paper, instead of tearing it just straight, I'll show you this little tip. She suggests that you wet it with a little paintbrush, a little fine paintbrush. Oh, and I don't know if I've brought a fine paintbrush. Yes, here we go. Let me see if that's fine enough. Maybe not. We'll give it a go. Okay, so what we need to do, here, where is the tag? Here's the tag. So if I'm making and creating a cut off edge, so that's the drop shadow here, we just want to wet that edges. So I'm going to just wet this edge here. Just wetting the edge to create an area, and the more you wet it, then it's going to tear a lot more easily, and it'll give you that ripped effect without it tearing. So I'll let that dry, and then on this side we want to tear off this corner. So once again, I've just got my wet brush, might just wet it a little more, lining it up there, and this is how you get a nice torn paper edge. Great tip from her this week as she gifted these beautiful papers to me. And then I can use this as a gift tag. And just gently tearing that there, a little bit more off here. I feel like this one might have needed just a little bit more off this edge. Could even just move it with my, yep, there we go. Oh, might be a little lopsided, we'll fix that later, but look at that. So now we can just punch a hole right here. Whoops, I've got it upside down. Punch a hole right here on this end and get that ready for a gift tag. And you could, who would you give that to? You could give it to your honey. Hey honey, and give your honey a little gift. So there's a few gift tags we've done today, a few little ideas for either painting or framing. If you find some gorgeous paper like this that my friend Sue gifted to me, then you're on your way. But also you could just use standard black cardstock like these, you know, very easy to find. So we've got Bee Zesty, these came from the lemon tag set, and these came from the bee tag set. All the links for all of those are up in the description of the live. Now don't go anywhere because we're about to pick prizes, drum roll, and let me show you the other project that we worked on today. Let me see. Just going to show you this one. Oh yeah, there you can see it. And so together they lived the life they love. So if you want to see that stencil and any of these gift tag stencils, the links are all there in the description of the live. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if I can see who our winners are today. Oh, I have to hold those up a little closer so you can kind of see the effects on those. Let me know in the comments if you can see the winners. Big drum roll. And the winners are, oh, there we go. Julie, Elsner, Cindy, Basozzi, and oops, every time I hit to see more, I lose my comments. So let me see. Oh my goodness. Oh, there they are. Julie, Cindy, and Linda Lodgman. Anyway, Julie, Cindy, Linda, you are our winners today. Woohoo! So thank you guys so much for watching, and join me next week as I do another live right here on Essential Stencil page. You can find the links to anything that I've talked about today up in the description of the live. Here are you'll find the stencil sets. Use my code IRestoreStuff. And visit me on irestorestuff.com or iRestoreStuff on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Pinterest. Love to see you on any of my other social media platforms. I will catch you next time. Bye for now.